Arabian Nights, Arabian Days. Yo, what's up guys, the Insane Game Freak here to bring you another anime review. It's been a while, we're overdue, and I am surprised it is taking me this long to touch this series, considering I was consistently watching this since the moment it aired the first season, and I finished it the same time it ended, and yet I hadn't reviewed it. Even been collecting the manga and doing unboxings of those on the second channel, and have yet to review it. I think it's overdue because it's a series that really needs to be talked about, so let's talk about it. Magi, The Secret of the Labyrinth. Let's go. So Magi is a very interesting series for a few reasons. The first one is that it's one of the few series that's actually based on the Arabian Nights. I don't think it's directly based on the Arabian Nights, but it takes a lot of elements from the Arabian Nights, which I have no problem with because, come on, Aladdin's probably up there in terms of your favorite Disney movies. Two, it's an interesting concept, and it also brings about some of the things I really like about Magi. By the way, I'm probably going to be mispronouncing Magi and saying Magi, Maggie, Magi, because there's so many different ways to pronounce it, but let's see. I'm gonna see if I can be consistent. But if you want to do a counter and see how many times I mess it up, go for it. Have at you. Let's just start it off this way. Magi kind of starts off introducing you to Aladdin, who's talking to someone named Ugo in this weird place. It's we're not 100% sure where he is. We just know that at some point he is sent down to Earth. He is now met up with Alibaba, who is our second main character, and Alibaba's current goal is to defeat this dungeon and capture it. Dungeons in this world are these weird structures that show up in various places and have these crazy jinns that you can defeat and capture and pretty much get their soul embedded into your weapon and now have a magical item. Also, you can become filthy rich, which is what most people know about, and that's what Alibaba's goal is. That's all I'm going to say in terms of the series and the plot, because the thing about Magi that's interesting right off the bat is the fact that it kind of doesn't seem to have a point to it for a while, actually. I don't think it is until, as I said, the end of the first season before we really get an overarching goal. Up until this point, we're kind of just doing whatever the characters need to do. There also is another character who's introduced in those first few episodes. Her name is Morgiana. The reason why I'm not really focusing on Morgiana as much is particularly because the anime doesn't focus on Morgiana as much. The story kind of doesn't focus on Morgiana as much. She is in, for the most part, most arcs, but she's not focused on as much. Morgiana is a slave that Alibaba and Aladdin just happened to free during their dungeon capturing. And she became very enamored with them and really respected them and cared about them and wanted to help them through their future endeavors. So she follows them and ends up being that. Just kind of I guess you could argue and say that's Alibaba and Aladdin's first follower. We also, through the way, learn about what a Magi is and how important they are to the future. And pretty much it's a big deal that Aladdin's around. We also get to meet a few other Magis, and it's crazy. The thing I love about Magi, and I can say this right off the bat with no bias, it shares this one thing. It shares other things, but this one thing I love about it, it shares with my favorite anime, which is One Piece. Magi knows how to world build. God, I love its world building. The one thing I can't stand in a lot of animes nowadays is that for some stupid reason, they'll introduce a concept in the world and not do anything with it. Like, they'll just introduce the concept, maybe mention it in a few episodes, but it just kind of dies out and you're really only focused on one area. Actually, Magi does what I wish Naruto did, where it introduced you to this world of different countries and factions and leaders and different Magi and different dungeons and just a lot of different stuff. But yet but in Naruto you really only stayed in the Leaf Village and maybe a little bit of the Sand Village in the part 1, and in part 2 you kind of slightly touched on areas. You got more of maybe an emphasis on some other villages like the Cloud Village. Magi throws you everywhere from the first season. In the first season, we've been introduced to at least 2 or 3 characters from the Ko Empire. We're introduced to Sinbad, part of the Seven Seas Alliance. We're introduced to the different. I think at this point we've run across maybe 3 dungeons in the first season. Introduced to different countries, different types of characters. You've learned about Magi and the Rook and the Black Ryuk and Magi and Al Tharman. You learned a lot of crap in the first 26 episodes, and I was like, this is amazing. And because it kept me enthralled. The only thing about Magi I can see a lot of people not liking is how its pace is kind of set up. Also, I like the fact that Magi doesn't really... Well, I kind of like it and I hate it at the same time, which is the thing that it doesn't necessarily have the characters together all the time. For example, and once again, as I said, some people might see this as a negative because of the way it goes. After the beginning, you get separated from Alibaba and Morgiana, and you get this little Aladdin kind of story. Then you get a Morgiana thing, and then you get a full Alibaba thing, and then they become a trio again. And then that kind of stays consistent until about the middle, like the early part of season 2, in which is a huge Aladdin thing with like sprinkled in bits of Morgiana and Alibaba. But it was mainly an Aladdin story for half of season 2, the majority of season 2. And it gets kind of crazy, but the problem that hurts that is that then some characters feel like they're being nerfed. Morgiana kind of feels underdeveloped in some ways because of that, and Alibaba's fighting style feels underdeveloped because it's like, you only really focused on one character, but it makes them seem more independent and individuals. I also liked it because of the story reason they gave for it. Not only, well, see, the second season is more about training than anything, but it has a lot of cool elements behind it, like the racism against mages and everything, which was really interesting. Magi covers a lot of different subjects, and it makes it, and that's what makes it interesting. Like, I'm never bored while reading Magi. Magi's biggest problem was just the fact that it kind of didn't have any real focus. The first season really suffered from that, and I think it was just because it was setting up everything. And even when you look at it, it's more just foreshadowing than anything else, which is another thing I like about it, and it shares with One Piece, because that's greatness. And you can foreshadow future events that are coming. Ooh, kill 'em! Also, side note, music, awesome. It has that total Arabian Nights feel. Classical to me, man. Just, it sounds great. The one thing I just don't think people might not like is the fact that you're jumping around a lot. You're jumping around a lot in the first season, and then the series feels like it doesn't have a focus until later. But I really think that if you were to get past, I think the biggest grind will be getting past Balbad. If you can get past the Balbad arc stuff, you're good. Because at that point everything kind of falls into place, and the second season's freaking amazing. You also get introduced to different types of, leaders like Cohen, that's his name, Cohen, Hakyaku, and Ren, and the Lam Empire, and Titus, and Monastad. I'm probably mispronouncing some of these names because they're hard to pronounce. Lady Shazade, that's probably wrong too. Do not question me. I am not good at pronunciation. I like the fighting system in Magi, whereas using the Rook is kind of like your magic meter, and if you're using a Jin-equipped weapon, that all depends on how much Magoi you have and how you use it, and the different type of weapons you get, which is all talked about when you go to conquer a dungeon. We also even get a little history on the weapons themselves and the different Jins, and all the Jins show up and have different personalities, which is also awesome. So many awesome things. So many awesome things about Magi, man. Magi is one of those shows I feel like you really don't know how good it is until you watch it, and then you're like, bruh, this is great. This is great. You can't argue it. But as I said, I don't want to spoil too much. I may have already spoiled a lot anyways. But just watch it. I legitimately believe it has the potential to be like literally one of the next big things. But it's kind of out there in certain aspects, so I can see why some people may not hook into it as quickly, also because it doesn't have violence. And side note, it also has something that another popular show has currently, and it does it better. It has a female character who's a fucking badass, but the difference is she actually has character and character development. I'm pretty sure I just pissed off some fans. Oh well. So all in all, I enjoy Magi. I like the animation was great, the music is great, I like the story building. The pacing might bug you, but I really think it's worth investing in the time, especially because it's 2 seasons, it's 52 episodes, and because it ended on canon, there is a possibility for a third season once the manga gets far enough to where they can make a third season. Needless to say, I fucks with it. That's all that needs to be said at this point. This has been the Insane Game Freak. It's a game. Let it win, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace!